Are you ready for another riveting, poorly lit, unproduced video about chord tone soloing? I am. I'm a little bit excited. So we're looking at the caged system, and the next step is the major scale on page 27. Major scales. Pretty exciting stuff, but let's just see what the author says. Just learning how to play up and down major scales isn't much help to becoming a better soloist. You probably know some major scales already and may be wondering how to apply them. They don't sound very adventurous or exciting by themselves, maybe a bit like Christmas carols or hymns. That's what I always say myself. Yet the pattern of notes they contain sounds completely different depending on its mode of application and the underlying harmonic context, forming the foundation for every style of Western music, even the most extreme metal. Okay, this pattern of notes is called the major scale formula. In order to learn the formula and put it to use, we number the notes in a scale from 1 to 7. There are two ways to learn the formula. We'll need to remember both. First, the major scale always contains the same order of whole steps, notes 2 frets apart when played on the same string, and half steps, notes 1 fret apart when played on the same string. Whole steps and half steps can look different when moving from string to string depending on the starting string. Such are the trials of the guitarist. So we've got our major scale formula. Looks like a C major. I'm looking at tablature here. We're on the 5th string playing. That was 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. I always tell my students most of them are whole steps, but the half steps are well, if we number them, it's 1, 2, 3. So that was a whole step from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, talking about the degrees of the scale, that's your half step. So, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then the final half step between the 7 and 8. So those numbers that we assign to the scale notes, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So let's see what the author says. The other way is just remember there are half steps from 3 to 4 and 7 to 8. I just said that, okay? I think this is the easiest way to use the formula at first. When spelling a scale on paper, the half steps are marked with carets. I do that, okay. That's kind of a little pointed 2 lines like this, like a pyramid with no base. And the lack of a mark between the 2 notes implies a whole step. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one of these between the 3 and 4, and one between the 7 and 8. Okay, here's a good part of the book. Within each of the 5 patterns we learned in Chapter 5, we need to be able to identify every note by its number, 1 through 7, so that we'll know which ones are chord tones and which are non-chord tones. Good. With 5 major scale patterns to learn, there are too many to be absorbed in one sitting, so let's start with pattern 1 of the D major scale. You'll remember pattern 1 is the C shape, but if it's D major, it's going to be up here, and we have to compensate for the open strings, so we're going to make this shape here. That's like a C shape, and you're barring at the 2nd fret on only 3 strings. The 3 thinnest strings, bar, add middle ring, pinky. And the scale looks like this. So that's pattern 1, C shape, D major scale, because we're starting on D and ending on D. The roots are 5 and 3 on the 5th string and 2nd string. Cool, man. The diagram, so there's tablature showing that scale. Let's just review one thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's a D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Yeah. So in tablature, that'd be a 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 2, 3. I'm just keeping the 4 fingers in place here, starting on the 5th string, ending on 2nd string. If we extended it beyond the root to root, you'd have extra notes like this. I call that the bass zone. Getting down real low, or going down the basement, the lowest part of the scale. Got that F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And the highest part of the scale beyond that D root would be these notes. Kind of fun. So in this pattern, the lowest note is F sharp, the highest note is A. Let's just see what they sound like together. That's kind of fun. Let's see what happens if we descend from the highest note 1 degree of the scale at a time and ascend on the bass. So we'll have some counterpoint. Just having fun. Here we go. I don't know what this will sound like. I think I got an idea though. That would be worth practicing. So that's page 27 of Chord Tone Soloing from Musicians Institute Press. The author is Barrett Tagliarino. I find these I just kind of search for them online and I buy the cheapest ones possible and I give them out to students. I'm like the Johnny Appleseed of guitar books, but people also give me books, so I seem to have a giant shelf full of them. Plus, I've taken a whole bunch to my classroom. I've got a few stashed at other places. So I really need to start giving them out. But the funny thing is, if I give one away, and I haven't looked at it for months or years, suddenly I need it. So, so Josh, I want my Hendrix book back. And who's got my Muddy Waters book? Who did I give that to? I want it back. But, speaking of books, I do have a chord book that I created. If you're interested, that would help out. They're 20 bucks. It's got about 46 pages, 44. Yep, 46 pages of hand-drawn chord diagrams. It's a little bit overkill, but I haven't gotten too many. In fact, no negative comments about it really, but You never know. So if you're interested, just email me at hooverguitar@yahoo.com, or you can find a description or an eBay link in the description. All right, I'm going to my art club now, so take care.